I never yelled. I always validated feelings. I set boundaries using calm, practiced scripts. I breathed through every tantrum. I was the gentle parent everyone on Instagram aspired to be. Then my therapist looked at me and said, "You need to stop, immediately. Not stop gentle parenting, not go back to yelling, something else entirely." She said, "Your children can't read you, and that's terrifying them." What she told me next completely shattered everything I thought I knew about being a calm, connected parent. Because the problem wasn't gentle parenting. The problem was what I had turned it into. Today, I'm going to share the hardest truth I've ever had to face as a mother, and the shift that finally let my kids see the real me. But first, I need to tell you what my 6-year-old said that made me call a therapist in the first place. I want you to picture the perfect, gentle parenting moment. Child is melting down, mom kneels to eye level, voice stays soft. "I hear you're frustrated. It's hard when we can't have what we want. I'm here with you." I had that script memorized. I had it perfected. My voice never wavered. My face stayed neutral and warm. I was a regulation machine, and I thought I was winning. Until one night, my 6-year-old daughter looked at me during a hard conversation and said something that stopped my heart. She said, "Mommy, do you even have feelings?" I laughed it off. Kids say things, but it kept echoing. A few weeks later, during another moment, she said, "I can never tell if you're mad or happy or anything. You're always the same." And I realized she was right. I had become so committed to being calm that I had stopped being human. Here's what most parents don't realize about gentle parenting. The scripts, the validation, the regulated voice, those are tools. But somewhere along the way, I stopped using them as tools. I started using them as armor. I wasn't regulating my emotions. I was erasing them. And my kids had noticed. But here's where it gets interesting. What I thought was calm, connected parenting, my therapist had a very different word for it. I went to therapy because I was exhausted. Parenting felt like performing a role 24/7. I thought I needed better self-care, more breaks. My therapist listened to me describe my parenting, the scripts, the calm voice, the way I never let my kids see me upset, frustrated, or anything other than warm and regulated. And she said something I'll never forget. "This isn't regulation. This is dissociation. You're not managing your emotions. You're disconnecting from them. And your children are learning that real feelings are dangerous." I wanted to argue. I was doing everything the book said. I was being gentle. But she asked me, "When was the last time your children saw you genuinely frustrated, genuinely disappointed, genuinely joyful, not performed joyful, but real?" And I couldn't answer, because I had flattened myself. I had become what she called a regulation robot. Here's the thing. Children don't just need us to be calm. They need to be able to read us. They need our faces, our voices, our energy to give them information about the world. What I discovered next changed everything. Research on emotional development shows that children learn to regulate their own emotions by reading and responding to their parents' emotional cues. It's called co-regulation, but it requires the parent to actually have readable emotions. A study from the University of California found that children of emotionally flat parents, even loving, well-meaning ones, showed higher rates of anxiety and difficulty reading social cues. Not because their parents were cold, but because their parents were unreadable. When mom is always the same, always calm, always scripted, always neutral. Children don't learn what frustration looks like in a safe person. They don't learn what disappointment sounds like when it's healthy. They don't learn that big feelings can exist and pass. They learn that feelings are so dangerous, even mom won't show hers. Before I share the solution, you need to understand something important. I wasn't calm. I was suppressed. There's a world of difference. Calm means I feel the emotion, I regulate it, and I respond thoughtfully. Suppressed means I pretend the emotion doesn't exist. My kids couldn't read my cues because there were no cues to read. I had smoothed myself into a blank wall. And children don't feel safe with blank walls. They feel unsettled. My therapist said something that cracked me open. She said, "Your children need to see you feel things, not explode, feel. They need to watch you be frustrated and handle it. Be disappointed and move through it. Be genuinely happy, not performance happy." That's when I realized I wasn't modeling emotional regulation. I was modeling emotional disappearance, and my kids were learning to disappear too. My therapist helped me develop what I now call the authentic regulation method. This isn't about abandoning gentle parenting. It's about bringing yourself back into it. 3 steps. And I'll be honest, step 1 was the hardest thing I've ever done. Step 1. Name your real feeling out loud. Instead of hiding what I feel, I started naming it. In the moment, out loud. Here's exactly what this sounds like. Old way. Child spills milk for the 3rd time. I take a breath, keep my voice flat. Accidents happen, let's clean it up together. New way. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm feeling frustrated right now. That's the 3rd spill today and I'm tired. I'm going to take a breath. Okay, let's clean this up. See the difference? I'm not yelling, I'm not blaming, but I'm also not pretending I feel nothing. My kids now see, Mom feels frustrated. Mom takes a breath. Mom handles it. That's the full emotional arc. That's what regulation actually looks like. The first time I did this, my daughter's eyes went wide. She said, "Wait, you get frustrated?" Yes, I do. I always did. I just never let her see it. But here's where step 2 becomes crucial, because naming feelings can go wrong fast. Step 2, show the regulation process. Here's the mistake I see well-meaning parents make. They name the feeling, then skip straight to being calm. The child still doesn't see how you got there. You have to show your work. Here's what this looks like in practice. I'm really frustrated right now. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths because that helps me calm down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I feel better. Now let's figure this out. You're narrating your internal process. You're making the invisible visible. This is what my kids were missing. They never saw me move from upset to okay. They just saw, Mom is always okay, which meant they had no idea how to get themselves from upset to okay. What I discovered next changed everything in my house. When my son started having big feelings, he began narrating himself. "I'm really mad right now. I need to breathe." He was copying what he'd finally seen me do. He couldn't copy my regulation before because he couldn't see it. I had hidden the whole process. Now, step 3 is where many parents get scared, but this is where the real connection happens. Step 3. Let them see you repair. Sometimes I don't regulate perfectly. Sometimes my frustration comes out sharper than I intended. And here's the thing, that's okay. In fact, it's necessary, because my children need to see that even good parents mess up. And more importantly, they need to see what happens after. Here's exactly how I repair now. Hey, earlier when I snapped about the mess, I was more frustrated than I needed to be. That wasn't fair to you. I'm sorry. I was tired and I let that make me grumpy. That's on me, not you. Notice what I'm doing. I'm taking responsibility. I'm naming what went wrong. I'm showing them that ruptures can be fixed. My therapist said, "Your children don't need a perfect mother. They need a real one who repairs." When I was the perfect, gentle parent, I never repaired because I never let there be anything to repair. Everything was smooth and scripted, which meant my kids never learned that relationships can break and heal, that people can mess up and still be safe. The first time I genuinely apologized for losing my patience, my daughter hugged me and said, "It's okay, Mommy. Everyone gets frustrated." She was teaching back to me what I'd finally taught her. Feelings happen. We handle them. We repair. We're okay. Let me tell you what happens if you don't make this shift. Children raised by emotionally invisible parents don't become more regulated. They become more confused. They can't read social cues because they never learned from watching you. They struggle to identify their own feelings because no one modeled that feelings could be named and held. Worse, they learn that the only acceptable emotional state is fine, that anything else needs to be hidden, suppressed, pushed down. And we wonder why anxiety and depression are skyrocketing in young people. We taught them, without meaning to, that feelings are dangerous, that the real you isn't safe to show. Here's what I want you to understand. Gentle parenting was never supposed to mean emotionless parenting. The scripts, the validation, the calm voice, those are beautiful tools. But tools used to hide instead of connect, that's not gentle, that's guarded. And our children deserve to know the real us, not a performance of what we think a good parent should look like. Let's recap. 1. Name your real feeling out loud. Don't hide it. Let them hear that you feel things. 2. Show the regulation process. Don't skip to calm. Let them see how you get there. 3. Let them see you repair. Mess up, own it, fix it. That's how relationships work. Here's what I want you to try this week. The next time you feel genuinely frustrated, don't hide it. Name it out loud. Show your kids the breath you take, the pause you need, the way you move through it. Let them see you be a human who feels things and handles them. And then come back here and tell me what happened. I read every comment. And I know how scary this feels. I remember the first time I let my real feelings show. It felt like failing. It wasn't. If you've been the perfect parent and something has felt off, if you've wondered why being calm all the time feels so exhausting, if your child has ever looked at you like they're trying to solve a puzzle, maybe the answer isn't more regulation. Maybe it's more you. My daughter doesn't ask anymore if I have feelings. Now she asks, "Mom, are you okay? You look tired." And I tell her the truth. "Yeah, I'm a little tired today." And she says, "Me too sometimes." That's connection. Not scripts, not performance, just two humans being real with each other. That's what I was missing. That's what my kids were missing. And that's what finally made our home feel like home. Now, if this hit you hard, I made a video about what to do when you've been suppressing so long you don't even know what you actually feel anymore. That was me. And there's a way back. It's right here. And if you're reconsidering everything you thought you knew about gentle parenting, good. That's not failure, that's growth. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.